Started a new book today, A Scheme of Heaven. Now, this book is about the history of astrology. It says, well, hold on, I'll flip it over so y'all can see the cover. I'm not very far in the book, but he's talking about how astrology was essentially the original science and how up until modern times, if somebody was referred to as a mathematician, they were an astrologer. And he talks about how like Ptolemy, Copernicus, a lot of these original scientists and people that we talk about now who like discovered a lot of things, they were astrologers. And of course, me being an astrologer, I knew a lot of this, but I've never really did a super deep dive into the history of astrology, so I'm really excited to read this book. What's interesting is this man is not an astrologer, but he just has an interest in science, and from him learning about science and of course learning history and astrology, he realized that there were some overlaps. And he talks about how astrology, of course, is nothing but the translation of how the planets are affecting us in real time on this earthly plane. But anyways, he was talking about how the days of the week, even when you go to the origins of the names of the days of the week, they were named after the 7 classical planets. And he really talks about how so many things are embedded in our history that are related to astrology, but of course people don't want to pay attention to it, or they choose to ignore it. But yeah, this book is really cool. Like I said, I'm not super far in. I'm like 30 pages in, but I will keep y'all updated with the things that I discover as I read the book. And I would definitely recommend people check it out because I get a lot of questions about the history of astrology. And I will say he does this from a Western perspective because, again, he is a historian. So he was talking about how like he only wanted to study astrology from things that he was familiar with, so he doesn't necessarily touch on like Indian or Vedic astrology or anything like that. But yeah, this book goes back to traditional classical astrology, and I think it's a really cool fucking book, so tap in.